Hello, this is the multi-effects mode on the Disting EX. This is a stereo digital effects processor, basically giving you a flexible combination of EQ, pitch effects, delay and reverb in flexible combinations to apply to your audio and do interesting CV controlled things with. By way of demo here, I've got an FH2 clocking a Rene. The Rene is driving another Disting EX, which is going to be playing some sounds in polywave table and ST multi-sample mode. The output of that is going to come into the multi-effects mode, and then there's got the stereo out there, which is going into a mixer over here that you can't quite see. So, and I've also taken an output from the sound producing one so that we can easily hear what it sounds like without any of the effects. So, for example, so that's polywave table out of this one, coming in here, being processed. The dry sound is that. So I'm not using the built-in chorus and delay in this for now. And then that's our stereo output. So I'll just stop that for now while we do some explanations. So as I say, it's a stereo processor. It can take stereo or mono inputs. At the moment I'm using a mono input. All the kind of configuration parameters are at the end of the parameter list. So that's the mono input one. If you've got a single input that you want to make into a stereo signal, plug it in there. Otherwise plug stereo in and change that to 0. But we'll leave it like that. And then other inputs, we've got an input for the variable sample rate control, which I'll explain later. Input for the pitch shift, which again, I'll come back to. And then a setting for the aux output. So this is your main mix outputs. And this is an auxiliary output pair, which can output one of the direct output from one of the internal signal processing blocks rather than the complete mix at the end. But we won't be using that just now. So let's see what we've got. As I say, you've got EQ, delay, reverb, and pitch effects in most any order. So let's run through them one by one. Well, in fact, what we'll do first is we'll just look at the mix parameters, because that's how we'll select what we're going to hear. So that you've got a traditional effects mix setup. You've got a dry gain and then a wet gain for each of the different signals. The dry gain can be pre or post EQ, so you can decide to have the EQ as part of the wet signal only, or you can say that your EQ is fundamentally the sound that you want to be dry and use that. So at the moment it's set to pre-EQ. Let's set it to post-EQ, and then look at the mix parameters. Dry gain 0, effects gain. So the effects gain is the combined level of all the effects processes. It kind of scales them all up and down at the same time. And then you've got pitch, delay and reverb gains. Now, again, these are all going into the output mix. It doesn't affect the level going from one processor to the next when they're in a chain. It's just about the mix. So for now, if we turn our effects gain down to infinity, so all we're getting is the dry signal. But because we've routed the dry post EQ, we can now hear the EQ. So let's start our sounds. Let's make those a bit faster so we can hear the EQ maybe better. So it's 3-band EQ. You've got one band that deals with the lows, one band that's mids, and one band that's the highs. And the low can be 1 pole, 6 decibel per octave, 2 pole, or a shelving EQ. So if it's shelving, then you've got a frequency and then a gain. So if we so that's boosting the bass, cutting the bass. If we change it to a low pass, then it completely cuts out the low pass below, or if we make it 2 pole, and the effect is more pronounced. back to shelving. Again, so right, so it's band 1 is now inactive. So band 2, as I said, is the mids. It's a peak notch shape thing. So if we've got frequency, Q, and gain, so boost and cut. So if I boost it, sweep it, make it more resonant. And then cut it again and sweep that around. Put that back to 0, and then EQ3 is the high range. So like the low one, you've got shelving or low pass. So low pass, so or 12 decibel per octave low pass, or shelving. Then you've got boost or cut. So I'll just reset that to 0 for now. So that's EQ. So that can be your dry signal, and it can also be what you send into the other reverb parts. So for example, you could have your dry being pre-EQ, and then you could have a heavily EQ'd signal going into the delay, say, which would make the delay sound different. So that's that.